So my name is Sean Olerandami, and I am a teacher here at North High School and I've coached several activities. And with the dance team I began because I knew we had a dance team, a girls' dance team. When I was in high school, there was a boys' dance team here at North because I was on the boys' dance team at West. And I knew that the North team had a history of being a very good team. They had had a lot of success, and so I thought, well, why not bring it back?
So, the North All-Male Dance Team, let me tell you about that. All right, so I think it was my junior year when the dance squad came back, but the history goes a little bit before that. Sophomore year, me and a couple of friends back then, we called ourselves X and Y crew, and we had some other people join us, like Richard, Alan, and Misael. We were performing at the spring, like one of these. But before there was an all-male dance squad, so we were performing, and Miss Netley, she was like the one that runs the dance team, and I guess it was kind of like the trial. And I guess she liked what we had, and next year, next thing we knew, there was a all-male dance squad coming up with Mr. O as the dance teacher. Well, he was an English teacher, so that kind of surprised me, at least. And so we went auditioning, got all of our friends together, all of our dancer groups. We were all excited. So we go to the auditions, or to the first practice day. It was pretty fun seeing Mr. O dance. I was like, damn, this guy can dance. And it was exciting just being around a bunch of people that had the same interests as you.
That first year, we were all really excited for state. We felt we had a pretty strong routine, considering that they had only had like 2.5, 3 months to learn it. But they got second, we got second, which was kind of a big disappointment because everyone had wanted to get first. When we looked at the other routines, we thought we were going to have first, but we didn't. But I think that actually turned out to be kind of a blessing, because what it did was help the team realize that it wasn't going to come easy. They were actually going to have to work if they wanted to find success. It wasn't something that was going to be like, hey, just because you're showing up, you're going to be the best. You have to actually be the best. And so, they sort of recommitted. They were working harder. They actually they started to notice that their own faults in their movements and their dancing, and they started to pick that stuff apart because they wanted it to be better now. They realized sort of what was at stake, that if they didn't fix these things, it wasn't just going to solve itself, but it was going to mean that they got second or third or fourth. And so they didn't want that. And because, we had failed that first time, they had a lot more intensity when they came back. And that was the only time that we did not get first. After that, whether it was a nationals routine, our nationals competition, or state competition, they were always very serious about it after that. And so I think that learning experience really helped us. And every time after that, they got first because they understood what it was going to take to get that. And they weren't going to slack off, because they knew that if they were, then they were going to have that feeling of, that first time we went to state and you're sitting on the floor and they call somebody else's name for first place and you're just up there standing around like, oh, I'm just here not getting first. So it was a bad experience, but it turned out to be a blessing, because what it meant was that everyone, including myself, understood exactly what was going to be needed in order to get the amount of success that we wanted to get.
My name is Jose Ruelas, and I'm a senior at North High, and I've been on the dance team for 3 years. And I joined dance because I thought it'd be fun. I remember when I was in middle school going to the performances at the games and watching the boys dance team, always thinking, oh, maybe I could do that when I'm in high school. So yeah, I ended up doing it my sophomore year, and it was I think it was one of the best things I've done in high school. And waking up in the mornings, sometimes like over and over again, waking up early for dance can be kind of a drag, but in the end, you know, it's worth it when they say North High for first place. So it's always cool when all the hard work is worth something. So yeah, we went my first year we went to state. It was good. There was good competition there, and it was intense. That was my first like state competition, and it was kind of nerve-wracking. And but we ended up winning that one. And then the next year we went to state. We won that one. We won that one. And then I remember my sophomore year we ended up going to nationals, which was in Florida. And that was a cool experience because I've never been anywhere but here. So I've never gone anywhere. So we went to Florida. It was really cool. We went to Disney World. It was such a cool experience to do, and with dance. And at the competition there, it was really intense. There were some good teams there dancing. So for that competition, we ended up getting second place, so we didn't get first, so that kind of sucked. But we just knew that we just had to work harder for it. So dance impacted my life by my self-esteem and self-confidence, being able to perform in front of people and dancing. I've become a better dancer now since I joined, and it's just really fun getting to know other people with dance and getting to entertain people with dancing. And I would recommend dance for any student that just really thinks that they can dance and wants to perform in front of people. I think it's just a fun experience, and people should totally do it.
Hi, I'm April Netley, the coach of the boys and girls dance teams at North High School. It was actually back in the 80s, and a principal asked me to help out because their instructor had left. And so I said, oh, why not? I danced in high school. How hard could this be? Yeah.
Was it very hard?
Actually, yes. It's the dancing part's probably the easy part. When you realize what goes into the choreography and the management behind the team, that's where your real effort is. The practices are a breeze. It's probably selfish because it almost has to be because you don't get paid anything, really. It's watching an idea actually form, choreographing it, and then watching kids actually pull it off and watching them grow. The growth of the kids is really what probably keeps me going. State is a new thing. I started out in Nebraska and we didn't have any state contests. And so in Nebraska, what I did was start a regional contest. We brought up marching auxiliaries from Texas. And so we competed then at the regional and level. At that time, they didn't really have access to nationals. And so when I came over to Sioux City, then the host state experience was brand new for me. Very, very structured, very competitive. The Iowa State contest is the largest in the nation, bigger than Texas, bigger than California. So it's huge. And then you qualify, not on the state level, but you qualify through regionals or just being good enough to go down and do nationals, because there's a lot of different organizations for that. I think people think dance is about dance, and it's really not. How I view dance is it's a life experience. You learn how to be part of a team. You learn dedication. These kids get up, 5 o'clock-ish to get here by 6, and it's the longest season of any sport. And when you're gone, then basically the practice is wasted because you didn't hear the information. So really a lot about teamwork. And it's a lot about pushing yourself and not accepting mediocrity if you're going to be a good team anyway. People think that I'm a little bit OCD when it comes to spacing, but what draws the eyes is the difference. And so if you're not evenly spaced, if you're not doing exactly everything at the same angle, then that draws your eyes to the difference. And so we want our teams to look as one. If you put them right behind each other, it would look like you had just one person out there. That's what makes, I think, our team stand out from others. It's the precision of the move and their spacing that sets them apart. The advantage of dance is that it'll take you, the skills you learn will take you through life. I've had kids who are doctors saying it was that dedication that allowed them to develop the skills they needed to make it through med school. The cons are it is such a huge time investment, especially for the coach. I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at coaches who have successful teams, they paid a price somewhere in their personal life to do that. So a lot of times you'll see a very high turnover in coaches because they just can't balance that and their family, their professional life. It's very difficult. Just because, where else are you going to do it? I always tell kids, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Like when you're 25, hey, I want to be part of a crew. No, that's not really going to happen. And so this is a time in your life that you should just try it. Nobody knows how to dance like we do. If you go to a studio, they're not going to teach you high kick. It's a totally new experience, so why not try it? You have no idea what you're capable of because you've never been asked to do it. And so, yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? That you don't make it, but what if you do? So it's just try it. There isn't a person who doesn't try it and say, I had no idea it was this big or this good of an experience. Anyone who's older and has always danced in high school will come back and tell you how much they missed it. It was a huge part of their life. We had just started back with all males, so the 2013 and 14, we had just tried it again. And so it was, once again, those guys had nothing to compare it to. There hadn't been an all-male team since I had a slight little hiatus for a while. And so that team took a lot of risks. We were asking them to do something that they had no prior knowledge of. And so what I liked about that team was the diversity. There were athletes, there were kids who probably never hung out together, but somehow got themselves together. And they, went to state, had their first experience, literally probably 3 dances in, they're at state. And then went to nationals and learned how to take direction. They were kind of the start of this new dance team that we have now. And so those boys were trendsetters. Probably didn't realize it, but they were. And so that was kind of a fun experience to get them back. I hadn't realized how much I missed having boys to coach. They just have a whole different element than girls do. So I was glad that they had started up again.